let me just run you through the basics of our session today. So our session is going to be based on IPM, that is Integrated Program in Management, which is a management course offered to the students after they qualify their 12th standard. So our today's guest is also somebody who has qualified her IPMAT exam, and she will be enlightening us today with her experience, her strategy, her tips for the 2023 aspirants of the IPMAT and GIPMAT exams. So before I go ahead and we begin with the conversation, let me just run you through the basics of IPM. So IPM stands for Integrated Program in Management. It is a 5-year course that is offered to the students, that is BBA plus MBA. So there are 5 IIMs that offer you this course, right? That is Indore, Rohtak, Ranchi, Jammu. And recently, one more IIM has associated with IPM, that is Nagpur. The details for the same are yet to come out, but officially they will also be offering you a 5-year integrated program in management. Okay, so basically to pursue the course of IPM, you have 2 entrance tests. You have IPMAT and you have GIPMAT. So IPMAT is integrated program in management, which is offered by 2 IIMs, that is IIM Indore and IIM Rohtak. So both of these institutes conduct their own separate entrance tests, IPMAT Indore and IPMAT Rohtak. And GIPMAT is conducted to get admissions into IIM Jammu. The guest that we have today with us qualified her IPMAT exam for Indore. However, she did appear for Rohtak and GIPMAT as well. So let me go ahead and introduce our guest for the evening, Miss Khushi. Hi, Khushi. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to you. How are you doing?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, ma'am?
I'm doing good as well. Are you excited for the session?
Yes, very excited.
All right. So, Khushi, tell our viewers something about yourself. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, guys. My name is Khushi Malkhede, and I am a student at IIM Rohtak. And I'm an orator and debater who has ranked 13th at the World Scholars Cup in the preliminary rounds of it back in 2019. And that's all about me.
Okay.
And I feel privileged to be here in this interview, to be here in front of you all.
It's all our privilege, Khushi. It's our pleasure to have you with us today. Okay, so Khushi, you are speaking from IIM Rohtak right now. Are you speaking from the campus?
Yes, ma'am. I'm currently inside my room number 204, and I'm speaking on campus. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just roll back a little bit. Let's start from the very beginning. So what was your stream in the 12th standard?
Back in my 12th grade, I had commerce as my stream.
Okay, commerce, right. So was it always your plan to go ahead and pursue management, or what was your plan after 12th?
Truth to be told, till 10th standard, I assumed that I would be pursuing my career in computer science because I have a cousin who is currently working at Meta, and while I saw him climbing his career journey, I always dreamt that there is a great success in computer science. I would go in this IIT field or something, but in 11th grade, I chose a non-medical as my stream and went to a certain institute in order to pursue the JEE education. But it was a traumatic experience to be told, because I saw over there people who are doing better than me, and it just like Einstein said that if you tell a fish to climb a tree, it would die while doing so. And I felt like rather than doing what isn't made for me, I should do something that is made for me. And I think I rebel who wanted to go against the like family tied. Like all of the people out there in my family have a non-medical background, and I'm the first one to venture into the commerce stream. So in my 12th grade, like the principal of my school allowed me to switch my stream. And when I did, that was the COVID year, and I adapted myself. So like, I shouldn't praise myself, but I adapted myself so well, so that I was able to catch up with the subjects. And but in our grade 12, we didn't got the chance to give our board exams. So like, initially I had 71%, but when I gave the exams, like we had this choice, there was an increment of about 10 percentage marks. Back then I didn't know that IPMAT was there as a like option. So when I got to know about it, like my parents encouraged me that I should take a drop year, and even my own conscience said that yes, this is what is made for me, and I took the plunge. And when I did, throughout that year, it was a formative journey to see how well I can do in these particular subjects, and here I am at IIM Rohtak.
That's really great. So, did you also appear for any other entrances apart from IPMAT, GIPMAT?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so your focus was quite clear that you want to go ahead and pursue IPM, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure you must also be preparing for your boards at the time when you were preparing for IPMAT exam, right? So we also would have a lot of aspirants for the year 23, since the IPM notifications recently came out that the registrations would be beginning from March next year. So of course we do have some budding flowers who are wanting to go ahead and pursue IPMAT, and just like you want to be there in your place. So for them, I would want to ask you a question. How did you strike a balance in your preparation for your 12th board exams and your preparation for these entrance tests? How did you strike a balance?
First of all, for your context, it's like I took a drop year, but I can answer this question too. It's like when you're simultaneously preparing for your boards and for the entrance exams, you're supposed to prioritize. Okay, like in the initial phase, if I am done with my board syllabus, then during the end session, like when as like the March period approaches, when you're supposed to give your entrances, at that particular point of time you can focus on giving as many mocks as you can, like, but you should be clear that my board syllabus is done and over. So in that way you can simultaneously juggle between doing good at your boards and doing good at your uh, entrance test.
Okay, all right. If you don't mind me asking, what was your score in your 12th boards, Khushi?
My 12 in my 12th board I had scored about 81%.
Oh, that's a decent score. That's a nice score. And also, I feel the advantage that you must have had is because you were switching from commerce stream to management. So some of the content is pretty much the same, right? Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk about the exam now. So you have appeared for IPMAT Indore and IPMAT Rohtak, both of these exams. Now, the major difference between both of these exams is that in Indore, you do not have any reasoning section. You have both of these sections from quants, and then you have one for verbal ability, that is English. Whereas for IPMAT Rohtak, I'm sorry, you have a section in quant, you have a section in reasoning, you have a section in English, right? Apart from these differences, what according to you was the other differences between these two exams?
The difference between both of them is the choice to go ahead and conquer the area that is yours. For example, I personally feel that VARC section is my area, like where I could excel. And in the examination of IPMAT Rohtak, you get the choice to choose where you want to start your examination. Like you can switch between the sections, but whereas as far as I am Indore is concerned, you can't switch the section. It starts with the quant section, specifically the short answer part. Then it comes to the MCQ part of it, and then you're supposed to do with your VARC section. Now, if you're targeting your IIM Rohtak's paper, then you're supposed to start with what you feel is your strong point, because it psychologically primes you that okay, if I'm done with the section at which I excel, then I can do well in other sections too. Like you have it, okay, I've done most of the paper. Now all is like left is to conquer the other areas. But you can follow the converse too. It is a subjective approach. Now, as far as IIM Indoors paper is concerned, so you're supposed to take it one at a time. That there are three particular papers, even though you're giving one IPMAT Indoors paper, but there are going to be three papers, and I'm going to enter each section with a different mindset and a fresh mindset. Uh, Starting from the essay section, there are going to, like, this is a particular box where you're supposed to write down the numerical answer of that particular question, and the next section of it would be where you're supposed to solve the mathematical questions that are given to you, and the answer would be given in the MCQ format of it. Then here comes the VARC section, where you're supposed to read all the para jumbles and different sort of questions which are given in the English section of it. So as in, like, according to your field of expertise, like I personally excel at the English section of it, so you can psychologically prime yourself to do well at whatever you have done well in during your mocks, and give as many mocks as you can. So
All right. So that's very well put, Khushi. I like the way that you explained it. So if I put it in simple words, correct me if I'm wrong. So it's basically that indoor, you do not have the opportunity or do not have the leisure to switch between the sections. Whereas in
yes,
Rohtak, you can do that. In Rohtak, you can choose which section do you want to begin from. But in indoor, you can't. You have a specific pattern, and you have to begin with quant, then go to the short MCQ wala quant, and then go to the English section. So
yes,
basically, in Rohtak, when you're appearing, so you can have any strategy that you want, right?
mm-hmm.
You can start with, let's say, the most difficult section according to you that you feel like. For example, for me, it would be maths. I'm not really good at maths, so I would begin with maths, and then
Same
I
here.
follow it with reasoning, and then I would finish it with English, because English again is something that I'm cool with. I like it, right? So it can vary from person to person. So your strategy has to be for Rohtak in this way that it's entirely up to, like, for somebody like me, I am a person who could not work under pressure. So if I have a lot of pressure on me, I can't work. So I would always begin with the most difficult part, and I'll keep the easy sections for the end. So that way you can formulate your strategy for Rohtak. If I talk about indoor, because you'll be beginning with quant, the subjective type, and then you'll be moving to the objective type. So your strategy has to be like that. And I believe then when you're giving mocks, when you're giving test series for the same, I think the same fundamental or the same strategy should be followed, right?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if I talk about indoor, because we have two quant ka section there. One, we have the subjective one where you're supposed to write in the answer, and the other one wherein you're supposed to choose the answer, right? So which one, according to you, was more tricky, the subjective one or the MCQ one?
I believe the subjective one was more trickier for me, because you're supposed to calculate it and like to the exact point. So I believe that was a bit difficult for me.
Okay, all right. Now, talking about Rohtak, may we have reasoning as well. So, what was your strategy when you were preparing for the reasoning section?
Uh, the first of all, like the VARC section was the easiest of all, like in my perception. And then here comes the like LR section, where you're supposed to just solve puzzles. At first glance, it might look difficult, but when you really go through the content that is provided by your institute where you're studying, and you see how syllogism or like different puzzles work, then it all boils down to basic logic, and it is a fun game to play around. And when you're solving those questions, then those LR questions, are logical reasoning questions, are the one which are going to increase your overall marks and percentile in this particular examination. So that's what I
Okay, all right. So again, the strategy would vary from person to person, because for each person, the topic, the difficulty of the topic would vary. Like for example, somebody like me, I would find blood relation to be an easier topic, but for me, coding and decoding would be something which is difficult for me. So my strategy accordingly would work. Okay, so do we have
Yes.
any negative marking in these exams, Khushi, for IPMAT? Do we have any negative marking?
Yes, we do have a negative marking in both of the IPMAT Indore and IPMAT Rohtak examination.
Hmm.
But I believe that like year wise it differs. Correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am.
Mhm. I think we have negative marking for all three of them. I think we do have negative marking for GPMAT as well. Uh,
Yes.
the last it was, I don't know if they've changed. I don't think they've changed it as of now. But then, yeah, there's a negative marking in. Let's talk about IPMAT in that case. So when you have a negative marking in any exam, for that matter, right? Whether we talk about law or we talk about management. So when you have a negative marking, so the idea there is that you should be very smart in choosing the questions that you're attempting, right? So in that case, of course, it all boils down to knowing your strengths and weaknesses. So of course, you would be skipping the questions that according to you are your weaknesses, or that you take longer to solve, and you would concentrate more on the questions that fall in the easier or the mediocre term for you, right? Was it the strategy that you also followed while choosing the questions that you were supposed to attempt, Khushi?
Yes, ma'am. You're supposed to focus on your strengths. Like, what are the questions which I'm going to do well at, and like on a relatively easier time or like quicker time, and then go back to those difficult questions at the end when you feel like, okay, I'm done with all the questions that I was supposed to do, and now I have time. So then only you can dwell into the difficult questions of it. Yes, ma'am. I agree with you.
All right. So as I was asking you, Khushi, now that we have clarity on the negative parking aspect, the thing that I wanted to ask you was, according to you, which section was the most difficult in the IPMAT 2022 exam, and which was the easiest according to you?
I believe the VARC section was the easiest, and uh, I think the QA section was the difficult one for me.
Okay, and reasoning was moderate-ish.
Yeah, reasoning one was easy and easy to moderate-ish for me.
Okay, for both Indore and Rohtak.
In all, we don't have the LR section, but
Uh-huh.
for as far as the Rohtak one is concerned, it was easy.
Okay, and let's talk about JIPMAT now. A joint
Yes.
graded program in management admission test that is conducted to get admissions into IIM Jammu and IIM both Gaya, right? So what was the scenario with the JIPMAT exam? How did you find the JIPMAT exam?
It was relatively quite easier than the one for Indore and Rohtak,
Hmm.
and nearly all the sections are quite manageable. One
Hmm.
can easily attempt those questions. As far as the VARC of it is concerned, it was very easy,
Hmm.
and the QA section of it and the LR section of it was easier than that of Rohtak. So it's quite easy.
Okay, okay, great, great. So now that we have covered IPMAT, we have covered JIPMAT, let's talk about the rounds that are followed after the exam, right? After the entrance test. For both of these, IPMAT and JIPMAT, it is followed by a PI round, the personal
Yes.
interview round, right? So please tell us your experience of the PI round.
uh, I believe it is a very humbling experience because initially, when you appear for mocks, you just like appearing for mock test, you have to face the fact that initially you know nothing about it. You're
Right.
gonna have those moments where your like marks are coming in single digits. In a similar scenario, when you're appearing for a mock interview, you're like just like I appeared for Hit Bullseye's mock interviews. I had to face in front of an interviewer and be my vulnerable self. Okay, this is how one is supposed to behave in a particular interview, and it's going to be an iterative process. Just like a startup goes through its up and downs, you're also going to go through your up and downs while preparing for your mock interview. So you're going to fumble a lot in the beginning, but as and when you're going to give more and more mocks, like uh, it's going to compound your like success of PI round is going to compound over the time as you give more mocks. So it's going to happen in that way.
So was it the first interview that you ever gave in your life, Khushi?
Yes. Given that the significance that an IIM interview holds, it was my first interview. To be told.
Right. Amazing. So the first interviews are always very special. I still remember my first interview. So there are certain specific things, certain basic things that we tell our students at Hit Bullseye when they are preparing for the PI round. So it's basically that you have to be very, very confident. Even if you don't know the answer to a particular question, you should be answering it with confidence. Whatever answer that you have, it should not show on your face that, okay, I don't know about it, or maybe I don't have an idea about it. And also, most importantly, you should be very, very smart and very honest about the questions that the answers that you're giving. I'm sorry, right? Because at times you're cross-questioned on the information that you're providing to the interviewer. For example, let's say, just to sound cool, you said that, okay, I like cricket, for example, right? So they might start cross-questioning you on cricket itself, that, okay, when was the last World Cup? What was the last World Cup that India won? And things like that. So you have to be really smart about the kind of answers that you're giving to the questions that are asked to you, right? Did you have any such experience in your interview, Khushi?
Yes, ma'am. If I had to tell them that I'm a good orator, I have to substantiate with, okay, if have I really done something in that particular field. And if I tell them, okay, I'm from Chandigarh or Mohali, then they will ask me, okay, do you know about this new reform that has come into picture? So can you tell us more about it? So you have to be well informed with the current affairs. And like personally speaking, you can't build it over a short amount of time. So be well informed with the surrounding in which you're living and the current affairs. So that is what I feel. And be thorough with the stream that you have chosen during your 12th standard. So the 11th grade and the 12th grade knowledge of it would be tested in an interview. And like in case you encounter a question where you don't know an answer, rather than bluffing that, okay, I do know it, and showing your ignorance to the interviewer, tell them or admit it, sorry sir, I do not know about it, but I'll make sure that I'll look it up after the interview. So such a statement gives this impression that you have this learning attitude. So that's how it will wind up.
Okay, so by chance, did you come across any question whose answer you were not aware about? ऐसा कोई question जिसका आपको answer नहीं आता था, so you were a little. Was that the scenario with you in the interview?
As far as IIM Rohtak's interview was concerned, I knew almost all of the answers except for what is the state from where our current president is from. And there was this question in IIM Indore where I was unaware about this new reform that was happening between the state of Punjab and Haryana. So that I took it as a lesson. Okay, I have to be quite aware with the current affairs of my surrounding.
Right.
That is how we learn. So that was a learning experience for me.
These kinds of experiences are actually a lesson, for life. Like, for example, I remember when I was in fourth class, my teacher asked me a question. It was, I mean, I don't remember the question, but I still remember the answer was mitochondria, something like that. I still remember the answer. I don't remember the question. So you have certain embarrassing moments in your life. You're like, okay, ye to pata hona chahiye tha. Aage se I'll make sure that I know this answer. So that way it happens, right? So you have the learning moment. And also I feel the most significant part here is that most of the people who appear for these interviews are for the IPM. It is their first interview in their entire life. It is their first experience of appearing for an interview. So they are actually amateurs when it comes to that phase or that round of preparation. So how did you prepare for the PI round, Khushi?
I took as many mock interviews as I can from Hit Bullseye, and I believe taking all those mocks would mitigate the stress level that you would feel on your final D day. So when you take your first mock, you will feel a lot of like stress level, and then as and when you'll take it, you'll face the fact, okay, this is the new normal. I'm going to be taking a mock interview, and at the last day it is nothing but another mock interview. It's just that this particular interview holds significance, and you're supposed to give it like it's your best shot. So, and it's the only bridge that is there between, like holding you back between going to your campus, like the IIM Rohtak or IIM Indore, or like whichever IIM you're targeting right now. It's going to be that particular bridge, which is, and you have to cross it with bravery and confidence. So I believe you'll do great at it.
Okay, so talking about the mocks, another very important thing that I want to discuss with you, which I think is supremely important for any student who's preparing for any competitive exams, are the mocks, right? The significance of giving mocks, the significance of appearing for the mocks, right? So a very common notion amongst the students is that, I would start appearing for the mocks 1 month before the exam. And if you tell them why, if you ask them what is the reason behind it, so the simple answer is, ma'am, abhi to syllabus complete nahi hua. Ma'am, there's still certain topics that I'm supposed to touch, and I'm waiting for the last 3 to 4 weeks to appear for the mocks, which I believe, in my personal experience, is a very bad idea. You should start giving your mocks from the very first week of your preparations, so that you're able to track your progress over the weeks, like which all topics have you improved over the time. And secondly, you get a very in-depth knowledge about the syllabus, about the exam pattern, about how the questions are asked, and also it results in the correct set selection. Like I mentioned earlier, all the exams that you have a negative marking in, it is very, very important that you wisely choose the questions that you're planning to attempt, right? So giving mocks help you in that process. It makes it more natural to you. So I would want to ask you, Khushi, when did you start appearing for your mocks? When was the first mock that you gave for your preparation?
Personally speaking, I started giving mocks back in the month of January. Initially, it was a weekly thing, because I had to improve upon the topics that I didn't know. But when the month of May approached, like we had our actual exam, I guess in June, July. So when the month of May approached, it was a daily affair for me, because I had to just give all the mocks and see if I have if even if there is a marginal improvement in it, then, and where is it that I'm lacking, which was particularly the QA section of it. So I had to go back to those sections, okay, because the mocks tells you at your face, okay, this particular section, for example, compound interest or any particular section, let's say algebra or geometry. When you get to know this is where I'm lacking, the first step is clear. The self-awareness part of it is clear. Now, when you're self-aware about the fact that this is where I'm lacking, the next step is to get down and like practice all those questions which are there in whatever books you're purchased, or like the study material that you have got from your institute. So that's how one can tackle the mock strategy and give it as frequently as you can, because like we tend to have this tendency of pushing it away. Okay, nahi, aaj nahi dena, baad mein denge karke. But it's like eventually the examination day will come and you will regret the fact, okay, I haven't given as many mocks, so how will I stand before all those peers who apparently look so prepared? So you have to give as many mocks as you can, so that you're psychologically primed about, okay, I have given it all, done it before, can do it on the D-Day too. So that's how I feel.
All right. That I think is a very, very nice strategy, very good strategy. You spoke about self-awareness, Khushi. So relating to self-awareness, and we're talking about mocks. So when you have self-awareness about mocks, it helps you in forming the strategy for the exam preparation. So what I personally feel is, we students, when we are in our school life, we have been nourished in such a manner that we have an 11th hour approach. We tend to start working on things when it's the last moment. For example, let's take up exams. We used to have unit exams and semester exams we have in college, but then we have unit exams, we have our annual exams. So we have this tendency of start studying for the exam, let's say a week prior, or in certain cases a day prior to it, which I think is a very bad notion, is a very bad practice that students have amongst themselves. competitive exams, you cannot qualify competitive exams with that idea, with that ideology. It has to be a very strategic plan that you are implementing when you're preparing for a particular exam. So since you mentioned self-awareness, I would want to tell the students that as well. So giving mocks help you in analyzing yourself, giving yourself a very good idea, like Khushi mentioned, about your strengths and weaknesses. And then you can go ahead and plan your strategy. Now, again, strategy is something which would vary from person to person. My strategy would be different based on my scores, based on my strengths and weaknesses, and as it would be for somebody else. So mocks are very, very important, guys. You should start giving mocks from the very first week of your preparation, and don't just give mocks for the sake of giving them. You need to analyze them. You need to understand what questions are pulling you down and what questions are making you reach the top. That understanding, that self awareness is extremely crucial. It's very, very important. Now that we have discussed the PI portion, Khushi, I would want to know what was your source of content, source of study material when you are preparing for these exams?
I took help of Hit Bullseye's study material,
Mhm.
and it helped me to study the QA section and the respective LR section and the VARC section, solving it one by one. And then as far as PI section of it is concerned, like when a personal interview round was going on, I took as many mock interviews as I can. So that was what has helped me. And I believe that there is this new podcast which is out there, which gives you weekly boost of current affairs, where you can learn about what's happening around just by listening to it. So
Yeah,
you
that
can
is
your
Bulldoze. We're talking about Bulldoze. Yeah, so Bulldoze, we have a magazine as well. We have podcast as well for the same, where you can multitask your way to current affairs regularly. Okay, so now that you were appearing for mocks, Khushi, what according to you, Bache, is a good percentile for mocks? Because what usually happens is when a student initially starts giving mock, of course, they're scoring low because they are not used to of the exam pattern. They're doing it for the very first time. Of course, then you have time constraint also. You're supposed to finish the exam within some certain stipulated amount of time period. So when, let's say, somebody who's preparing for IPMAT 23, what according to you would be a good percentile for this particular student who, let's say, has started preparing from November itself? It's the November end almost. It's 25 today. So somebody who started preparing for IPMAT from the 1st of November, today's 25th November, and the exam is, let's say, scheduled in April next year. So we have around 3-4 months during that. So what according to you right now would be an ideal percentile for a student appearing for mocks?
first of all, in the initial phase of giving all the mocks that you can, as many mocks as you can, you are not supposed to look at the percentile. You're supposed to look at how many number of questions am I getting correct, and am I getting it correct in the section which I perceive it to be my strength. For example, in my case, it would be VARC. It could be a QA section in your case, or it could be like LR in your case. So first, focus on getting as many questions right as you can, and by the end of it, like as in when the number of questions you attempt, they increase, then the number of marks you obtain, they would increase too. And in the course of going through this process, your overall percentile would there will be an increment in that too. So rather than giving a fixed number, which would be my perception of this is the ideal percentile, it is going to be subjective for every IPMAT aspirant, I believe. So that's
Okay, all right. So enough about the exam. We've discussed a lot, and I think we've managed to answer all the questions of the students that they usually have. What I want to know now is, what was your parents' reaction when you told them that you've made it to IIM Rohtak? What was their reaction? I'd love to know that. I always ask this question from all the aspirants, for all the people whose success stories we are discussing, because I feel parents, I think, are the most important part in anybody's life. They contribute so much in so many ways in a person's journey, in a person's academic journey for that matter. So what was your parents' reaction when they came to know that you've made it to IIM Rohtak?
I've had immense support during my drop year. and my mother has helped me in preparing for the QA section of it. Like she has done MSc in mathematics, and me being the rebel that I am not good at maths, but I'm good at English. Why? Because I'm interested in reading non-fiction books. So my VARC section was already good, but I would resort back to reading my books. But my mom would tell me, okay, no, focus on your the bad part of it, your weaknesses, because you can't like lock them away in a closet. You're supposed to face them head on, and while giving as many marks as I can, and going through the syllabus of it all, like the algebra section, the geometry section, the arithmetic part, and I guess there is this fourth pillar of it too. You face the fact that okay, this particular section I'm not good at it, but is it going to be my ultimate reality? No, because I want to get into IIM, and it is the bridge which is stopping me, or like this is the apparent obstacle which is stopping me from getting into the institute where I want to go. So you have to focus on that, and your parents are your ultimate support system in this particular process, because in your institute, even if you're enrolled for a online coaching or an offline coaching, your peers are gonna play two roles. One, the collaborative function would be that you all can sit together and discuss the questions, and the competitive function would be that you can induce like it happens, you would induce inferiority complex among each other, like why on earth is this person good at it, why am I not good at it? But at the end of the day, when you go back to your house, your parents are going to tell you, all said and done, you're going to do it well. And I guess the bedrock or that foundation of it, the mental foundation and the emotional foundation of it all, boils down to your parents. Like they're going to support you no matter whether there's going to be a friend out there, there is going to be a even if your percentile drops, so your parents are at the end of it gonna tell you that okay, koi nahi beta, hota hai, chalta hai karke.
Bilkul, they are the pillar. They're the rock to support you throughout your life. That's very, very important. Okay, so what are your future plans now, Khushi? What are you aspiring to be now that you've made your way through IPM to IIM Rohtak? What are your future plans now?
My 5-year plan would be to successfully complete this IPM program while doing as many internships as I can, while exploring all subjects. And right now I have this two portions in my that there is this T-shaped education that Rajiv sir talks about, that there is this broad line where you're supposed to explore as many subjects as you can. These are the three BBA years of your a 5 IPM program, and this the straight vertical line would stand for the MBA years. Even though we have a general MBA, but you're supposed to choose intrinsically what is it that I'm good at. I feel that I have immense interest in psychology, and it would help me to do good in HR or marketing. But rather than setting it in rock or being very adamant about it, I would try to explore as many fields as I can. So that would be my 5-year goal. The 10-year goal would be to be at the top management level, be in the C-suite one day, and be the zenith version of me. So yeah, and explore myself as much as I.
That's really nice, Kushi. I'm really happy that you have everything, at least 10 years of your life planned out right in front of you. A question that I would want to ask you is, are you planning to pursue your MBA from IIM Rohtak as itself? Because as far as my little knowledge is concerned, you do have an option of switching your IIM after you have completed your graduation, because you can appear for CAT exam, and then if you want a better IIM according to your perception, you can do that. So is that something that you would be doing, or would you be continuing with IIM Rohtak only till your MBA?
First of all, I'm very grateful for the fact that I'm right now in IIM Rohtak, and even though like IIM Rohtak would give me a lot of opportunities, I would like to see if I can do better at the CAT level, and see if I can do greater, if I can climb higher than this. So I would like to see if I can score good in CAT examination too, and do what I did in back then in IPMAT.
That's really nice, really nice. I wish you all the best. And we at Hit Bullseye would love to help you with your CAT exam as well, to assist you through your MBA journey as well, right?
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So now that we are almost towards the end of the session, so now next thing, very important thing I'm very curious about to know is, how is your life at IIM Rohtak now? What does your schedule look like? Because you're living the dream of so many people, so many students who aspire to be in a position where you are right now. So what is your daily routine? What is your schedule regularly like?
Truth to be told, the schedule varies from day to day. Like, you're gonna have different obligations from a day to day basis, but your day starts sharp at 5, where you're supposed to wake up for yoga, and then like, my class starts at 10:20, and there are going to be 4 periods throughout the day, and it ends at 5:20. So it would vary, but at the end of the day, when you get into experience, personally I feel that every day when I wake up, I can learn so many things from my peers, from my professors, from situations in general, and they're going to prime me to be a better Khushi Malkhede someday. So that's what I believe.
That's really nice, Kushi. That's really nice. Okay, so are you at the hostel right now? Are you in the campus, or are you staying somewhere outside?
No, I'm in the campus right now. I'm in my hostel.
Your hostel room. Okay, so how is the setup at hostel? How many roommates do you have? What is the usual go about of the hostel life? Maybe, are you living in the hostel for the very first time, Kushi?
Yes, it's my like first experience being at hostel. Initially I had 4 roommates, but one of them left for due. So right now I have 3 roommates, and initially you're gonna feel like, how do I adjust to this new environment? Like, there are new set of people. I'm away from my parents, but as in when you face the situation, okay, this is going to be new experience, but I'm going to be a new individual too. So it primes you to be a better manager. It tells you how to deal with a different set of individual. And I have got great roommates, I've got great friends out there and peers who motivate me every day to be a better individual in general, because I've seen all of them going through their like own set of hardships, and I've heard them telling me about their own journey. So you learn that it's not just your own I factor, but you can learn so much more from your peers too. So that's what I feel.
All right, Kushi. I would again like to thank you to be here with us today in our session. Give your valuable feedback, your valuable time, your valuable information, your experience with all of us. And I hope that this session would be very useful to all the students, all the IPMAT or CHIPMAT 2023 aspirants. I hope you learned something from Kushi, from her journey, from her experience, and give your very best in the next IPMAT IPM exam. All right, Kushi, thank you so much. Any last words, any last parting words that you want to say?
First of all, I would like to thank the team of Hit Bullseye for inviting me to this session. And I would like to tell you, the aspirant, that you're doing great. Even if you haven't started, the fact that you are starting it, it's the initial step. You're taking the initial step, even though you have got this marathon to run, but you can do it, and it's going to be a fun learning experience. Even though you might stumble a bit here and there, but let's make your way out to IIM Rohtak, or IIM Indore, or IIM Bodhya, Jammu, or IIM Ranchi. And when you would be at your campus, it would all feel like it was all worth it. I've done it, and I can do so much better. I'm a better individual. So yeah, that's all about it.
All right, thank you so much, Kushi. I
All the best.
see you really soon, right? And all the best for your future. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Okay, guys, bye bye. Good night. Happy weekend to
Thank
all,
you so much.
and all the best for your upcoming exams. I'll catch you in the next Big Bulgi Pathshala session. Bye bye.